A lot of podcasts have a start to the show that they do it each week. You know, they're like, welcome back, folks, or...
Well, I think we could say that. Like, here we are, you know, weeks, should we say week 7? Week 6?
Episodes. I guess we say episode each time instead of week.
Episode, we could say episode 6. Here we are. It's Sunday. Doing our weekly thing. But Bronson's we're going to be going on a date shortly, so we want to get this out of the way. Or I don't know, whatever. It's so funny. That was a very snickery laugh.
It was an odd laugh.
It was a weird laugh for you.
Yeah.
But are we recording right now?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
You just coughed twice. Do you want to give the listeners an update? Because people have been following along.
Right. So went to the ENT on well, first of all, welcome everybody. I guess if we're recording, this is episode 6, right?
Yeah, we went through this
Went through that. So again, how are our listeners? So what's our...
They can't answer you.
No, let me finish. Our listener fan base, how's that coming along? Has it been increasing numbers?
Definitely. We've still been going up. We have 850 total listens.
That's huge. So again, thank you to all our listeners and supporters. We appreciate it. We've also been getting some good feedback. We've been asking for positive and negative feedback. And I think more positive than others, but a couple of negatives. I'm going to say that...
Constructive, not negative. No one's like, it's bad.
Okay. One of that is like what you just did, interrupting me. So that's one of our constructive/negative. So we tend to interrupt each other a little bit too much. And I also sometimes speak a little too fast. And then the other thing is I need to get some more views of you rather than just me getting on my rant. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. And then I think what we're going to do, Bronson, which we talked about today over lunch, is that we're going to probably set up a number for people to call in and do a live one. Maybe not next week, but the week after, like during the holiday season, so everybody's around.
We'll do a live holiday special.
Yeah, and what we'll do is we'll do it on a, rather than the midday, we'll do it like a Sunday evening, so people might be home more, like maybe like at 8 o'clock at night, because who would be home at, 2 in the afternoon? And we'll have people call in, and we'd love to hear from our listeners, especially our Kenya/Africa binary.
Our Kenyan listener didn't listen to the last episode. I know.
I must have offended it.
We lost
it.
Last episode, we only had U.S., Canada, France, and UK listeners.
Maybe they'll come back.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe his minutes on his phone ran out, the prepaid minutes. So, a quick little up. So, thank you for everybody. That's what I wanted to say. So, here we are, episode 6. I went to the ENT on Monday. Had that stupid ass tube camera shoved up my nose, which I was very scared to do. Uncomfortable, but I survived. And basically, he thinks it's not a big deal. He will have that thing under control within about a couple of months. Already put me on a couple of medicine, nose sprays, things like that. And he says definitely allergy based. And so it was positive news. I'm glad I got it done. So to my listeners, bear with me.
Well, I'm glad that you're finally getting this resolved.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So eventually it'll be resolved. Right now it's not. So you have to deal with my Tourette cough every now and then.
Tourette's? No,
it's not Tourette's, but it's like that.
There's a funny thing in the Bloom family that I thought we could talk about on air, because we talk about it with people in IRL, which means in the real world or in real life.
Did not know that.
When people come over for dinner or whatever, it's always a thing that's brought up. So I thought it'd be funny to bring it up on air, which is our classic would you rather dilemma.
Oh, would you rather? Bronson, is that carpet, is that stained, or it's just the reflection I'm looking at right here? See the fourth black line in across from the humidor? Does it look black where you're sitting?
Yes.
Because here it looks like baby powder, but I'll have to check.
Oh, I see. I see what you mean. It's probably just because it's suede if you push it the other way. See, it looks like that too.
Okay, that's bothering my OCD. All right, go ahead.
So everyone knows would you rather, and you pose two not great situations, and then the person has to choose, would you rather this or that? But we have a tough one in the Bloom household that
and
really
we're opposite on it. We debate this, would you rather.
Me and you are opposite.
Big specific, and there's mixed views, but you and I are adamant of our position.
So it goes like this. Would you rather sit on a dick and eat a cake, or sit on a cake and eat a dick?
Correct.
Where do you stand on that?
I'd rather sit on a dick and eat a cake all day long than have to eat a dick all day long.
But the dick's in your ass.
Okay, it's my ass. It's meant for wasting shit. But think about it. Imagine you looking at having a guy's dick in your mouth and looking at that and knowing that you're like, there's no
Imagine
pleasure
know that
in
a
it.
guy fucked you in your asshole.
Okay, by the way,
it's painful. I don't know.
How do you know it's painful?
I can imagine it's painful.
We can make some calls.
Well,
and find
I've taken some pretty painful poops in my life.
Correct.
So imagine them going up the other way.
Okay, but imagine for the rest of your life you have to look at. Imagine you looking at the balls right there. You're funneling the balls. You're looking up the guy. You make eye contact. And you got a dick in your mouth. The rest of your life you got to remember that shit. That's nasty fucking shit. There's no pleasure. And then you got to wipe your ass off from the icing. At least you get from some good cake. You fucking deal with it. You get the dick in your ass. And you're out. You're in and out quickly.
Get the dick in your ass, and a guy comes in your ass.
Well, you didn't talk about anything about coming.
No, it's both of them are to completion.
Okay, but Bronson, I've had an enema before. You know, with where you go for the prostate and so forth. I'm telling you, there's no. But a little offensive.
How emasculating that is that someone
really and a dick in your mouth is not emasculating. Looking at a fucking guy while you're sucking his dick? Hell no. Sorry to my homosexual listeners. I understand that. I get it. No judgment call. I'm saying from heterosexual, hell no.
Right. If you're attracted to that, then that's great.
Listen, no. If you're into that, I pass no judgment. At least on the podcast. No, I'm only joking. I pass no judgment. But Bronson, no, I would never. So I bet those people. So what I'd like you to do for our listeners right now, 100%, you should debate this with your family, debate it with your children, your friends, and then we're curious to know, Bronson, what's our Instagram again?
It is daddy_issues podcast.
Okay, so there, Bronson, can they post stuff and give their opinions, people?
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a poll. That's the word. I'm going to create a poll, and so people can select.
So would you rather sit in a dick and eat a cake, or sit in a cake and eat a dick? That's what, and we would like our listeners to give their opinion.
Here's my view. Technically, I've thought about this from like a logical point of view.
We've been talking about this for a couple of years. Remember, so Bryce was dating Sophia at the time. This was in high school. This has been going for numerous years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the answer is different for everyone. So that's what's interesting about it. But I've thought about it logically and emotionally. And then there are two different answers.
Well, you need to get a life.
Logically, you have the right answer. Logically, the correct answer for a heterosexual straight man is you sit on the penis and eat the cake, because at least one part of it is pleasurable. At least you're ingesting a cake, which is a pleasurable
You
activity.
always stuck to that theory.
No, because it's logically, it makes the most sense. If you're sucking a penis and sitting on a cake, both of those stink. Both of those are bad options that I would not want to choose. Personally, me. I choose to eat cake. I volunteer to eat cake often. So at least if I'm getting the penis up the ass,
I think you volunteer to have dick in the ass too
there's
often.
something pleasurable about it. However, emotionally, I would much rather have a penis in my mouth because it's not painful than a penis in my asshole.
Oh my God, a needle's painful and you survive it. I would never ever want a dick in my mouth and have to realize that every time I look in the mirror, I know those eyes saw a dick in your mouth.
So then why every time you look in the mirror, you know that a guy stuck his penis up your asshole?
Because my ass is for waste. It's not the worst thing. I don't look at my ass. It just,
but you feel it so much more.
Listen,
you feel your asshole more than your mouth.
No, it's not as bad as you think. I've had fucking
Why
enema.
do you think women all the time, I can't speak about gay men because I don't know much about their sexual
women don't want a dick in their ass?
Women always give blowjobs to guys when you're in a relationship with a girl. They never
First of all, no,
go in the ass.
Only Jewish women don't do that.
They don't do either.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So Jewish women, so they're not giving head and not taking
right, but
ass.
at least like it's a big ask.
And for all you Jewish women listening, don't get offended because you know you're not doing that. So let's call a spade a spade.
It's a big ask to a girl to do anal, and it's not as big of an ask at all to give a blowjob. So clearly, even women feel that.
Okay, well, that's my position. I 100% would never want a cock in my mouth or look at a guy's balls.
But you would want a cock in your ass, is what you're saying.
If it was life or death, I 100% would have the cock in my ass and have that chocolate Costco cake. I love the outside of that chocolate Costco cake. Let's talk about another would you rather. You're naked. You have your grandmother who's naked in front of you. You have your grandfather who's naked behind you, and you're in the middle. And the only way you can get out is you go forward or you go backwards.
So basically, you either You either
Taking
get
the
fucked
ass
by
or you
your
fuck your
grandfather or
grandmother.
you fuck your grandma.
Right.
The right answer, which is not what I would want to do, but what I would have to do is get fucked by my grandfather.
Interesting.
Because it's the passive one. It's I'm just sitting there and it's happening to me. I'm not actively doing the sexual act.
Okay, so based on your logic,
Yeah.
the logic could be you're going to fuck your grandmother because it's pleasurable.
But it's
painful.
But it's not pleasurable.
Okay, but wait, because no, logical, not emotional.
But having to do
let me finish. So on your prior theory of eating the cake because that's pleasurable, but not having the cock in your ass because that's painful, you would, under your logical theory, you would fuck your grandmother.
I've never volunteered to fuck my grandmother. I volunteered to eat cake. So it's not a pleasurable activity to fuck your grandmother.
It's not a pleasurable activity to have a dick in your ass either, but you made a determination. You made a choice saying one's a logical.
I hear you.
So therefore, you would fuck your grandmother for the logical.
No, but remember, with the past one, with the dick and cake, I chose the emotional route. I said logically you have the right answer. Logically you take the one that's even just a little bit more pleasurable, but I would always choose the emotional one.
Let's make it a little more interesting. It's your mother in front of you and it's your father behind you.
I'm not talking about this with you in front of me because you're my father. Okay. No, but they do say, would you, there's a good one, would you rather have sex with your girlfriend in your or your wife, let's say, have sex with your wife in your mother's body or have sex with your mother in your girlfriend's body?
So the person you're fucking is your mother. Looks like your mother.
Looks like your mother, but it's actually your girlfriend. So you're actually having sex with your mother's body, but deep down you know it's your girlfriend. Internal, like her soul, let's say. But then the other one is, do you have...
I can get an erection either way.
Right, but would you be able to get an erection with your grandma? No. At least with your grandfather fucking you don't need to be erect. You can just be passively...
I don't know. I don't think I'd rather get fucked in my ass by my grandfather. I'd rather
But you'd rather get fucked in your ass if you can eat the cake.
Because you have no choice. Those are two choices. One is you getting fucked or one is you're fucking.
So you would...
The other one is you're getting fucked.
You would actively choose to fuck your grandmother.
If I had a choice, I probably would fuck my grandmother rather than get fucked in the ass.
The craziest start to a podcast. We're losing a bunch of listeners from this.
No, because, I think what I'd like everybody to do, the listeners at home, you should talk to your kids about this.
Sit down at your next dinner table. Instead of talking 100%. About COVID, instead of talking about the world ending, let's talk about something different.
No, they should.
Yeah.
The would you rather, because most people are thinking it, but don't have the balls to say it. So I think you should have this conversation with your kids. It's a way to get closer to your children. For example, if you want to work into it slowly, you can start off with an easy one. Do you fold your toilet paper before you wipe your ass, or do you crumple your toilet paper before you wipe your ass? And I think, and you can guess that, and then that will loosen them up. That's like a pre-lube.
That loosens your asshole up.
No, that's like the pre-lube emotionally or verbally.
Pre-lube, just lube. What's pre-lube?
Oh, I guess, yeah, that would be like, what? Okay. Yeah,
Pre-cum.
No, that's lubing it up and massaging the conversation.
You're lubing up the asshole. You're getting it ready for the penetration.
Well, I was going to think not the asshole, but I was saying, yeah, okay.
But we've been talking about asshole penetration.
Yeah, that's true. So I think that's a good thing. So
what do you do? Do you fold or do you
what do you
crumple?
think I do?
You definitely fold like meticulously.
Not meticulously, but of course I fucking... I'm so OCD and methodical and...
It's such a waste of time.
No,
and
it's more surface area.
No, it's not. It literally is not. No. Because you have just the one square and it's thick, but it's one square. And then crumple and there's more. No, but when I crumple, I have so much more surface area because there's 10 different layers all crumpled together.
I disagree with you. That's on the poll too. You could put that on the poll also. You'll see that more people think that the way to do it is folding.
Definitely not.
Disagree.
We'll find out, but definitely more people crumple than fold.
Okay, so let's
also you waste. Actually, crumpling probably is more wasteful.
Yeah, so you're gonna post it on Daddy_issues
podcast on our Instagram. Yes.
Okay.
Everyone knows what our Instagram is.
No, one more time. What is it?
Daddy_issues podcast.
That's it. Podcast. CAST.
Yes,
we had
not plural.
I want to be very clear because it sounds like when you speak it sounds like plural.
Podcast.
And then we're gonna know. Oh, so then real quickly, so we are gonna set. I think did we say this that we're gonna have people calling eventually on a.
Yeah, we just said that.
Okay, sorry. All right, Brian. So that was a good warm up. Get the people going. I really, really, really would like people to discuss this with their families to get an idea of what their thoughts are. I think it'll bring you guys closer and. You might learn about each other, whether or not you would rather dick in your ass or in your mouth, right? And you can't ask the wives because they'll say neither.
No, it really only applies to like
guys,
heterosexual men, because gay men and straight women
don't do either.
Partaken in both of those things.
You hope.
So it applies to straight men and gay women. That's what it applies to.
Gay women?
Yeah, lesbians, they don't want a dick in the mouth or the ass.
Oh, I bet you lesbians do strap-ons and take it in the
strap-on,
ass.
but that's
the same
but
as
that's from a woman.
No, but I'm telling you.
Oh, if it's a strap-on on a woman, then it's a whole different animal. Because it's still a woman.
All right. Let's not make it too intellectual.
That's what I do.
I know that's what you do. So what else is in the world of Bronson and John with regards to the podcast shit? So you started seeing this girl for about 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I've been dating while I'm here. I'm relatively newly single.
Right. And how's that going?
It's going. It's a weird time to be single.
So you were dating this very, very nice girl when you were in LA for about 2 years. She was a little bit older than you. Very sweet, lovely girl. And in August, you decided to break it off, right?
Yes.
And what made you decide to want to break it off with her? We'll keep the name anonymous. And I saw the writing on the wall as your parent when we were out in California for the month, and I saw the dynamics, and we loved her. We thought she was very lovely, nothing wrong with it, but just not the future aspect. So what was, just curious to know.
I don't know. You just know, like people say, a gut feeling, and you have to trust your gut. And that's definitely true. That's a thing that I've learned throughout my life. Like a good instinct of mine is my gut. And it always led me to the right decision.
Okay.
Although what even is
it's a feeling.
Just your intuition, I guess.
It's a feeling.
I don't know. I just knew it wasn't what I wanted. I wasn't excited about it like I should be about the future prospects of it.
Did she want to? So she was 4 years older than you. Mm-hmm. And again, a very nice person. I have nothing negative to say about her. Very, very nice person. But of course, we always support you and want what's best for you as our son. And so did she have any idea you think of this was coming up? When I say this being the breakup?
I don't know. She probably did, because I probably acted differently the last couple months when it was in my mind. I was thinking about it.
How did you act differently? What did
I don't
you
know.
say?
I don't know that I did, but I'm sure that I did, because if one day you're like happy, in love, in a relationship, content, and then the next week you're questioning things, like I'm sure I acted differently.
Did she ever mention anything to you about that?
No.
Okay. And did you, when you guys, one thing, so first of all, kudos to you for being mature and how you handled it, but it probably was not easy because
it was not easy at all.
Right. Because
I've never been broken up with. I've only been
stud.
Well, I'm not even saying that to.
I know.
I feel like that's probably a beneficial thing for everyone to be broken up with and get heartbroken. I've never been on that side of it. I've always been the one to do it. So I can't say which one is harder or not. But it's got to be the breaking up with is a harder thing to do.
Of course, because one knows what they want. The other one's the ones their feelings are being hurt.
Both are hard. Both are hard for different ways. But like having to break up with someone, you have to grieve the relationship, which the other person is going to do. But then you also have to hurt the person in the process. Where being
you think that's harder?
I think it's harder to both grieve a relationship and have to hurt the person in order to do it.
See, this is why I disagree.
Being broken up with, all you have to do is grieve the relationship. Of course, you're taken by surprise.
Bronson, let me say something. I got to interrupt you on this one. So I hear you, but I think it's harder for the person who gets broken up on, because they're not the one that wants it. If you're let's assume you're breaking up with this person we're talking about.
Well, I didn't necessarily want it either. I just knew it was the right decision.
But the difference is you're making up your mind. It's your choice. Right. So it's easier to come to conclusion and to come to peace with it, even though you're a nice person and compassionate, so you don't want to hurt the other person. But once you make up your mind, it's much easier. For example, isn't it better if, like, we go out to dinner, mom and I, and we go out with people that I like, or as opposed to we go out to dinner with people that mom wants to invite that I might not like and have to deal with it? You are the one in control. The person you broke up with has to deal with that pain.
Having to do.
No.
I guess it's basically, is it easier to be hurt by someone you love or to hurt someone you love?
The pain is worse than when you no, but it's
What's
a
the
different
answer to
kind of
that?
love.
I don't think there is an answer, actually.
I think it's harder for the person who doesn't want to be broken up with,
Because you're caught by surprise. It's
and you question why, what did I do, what could I have done differently. I think that part is harder.
that's hard.
But I do give you, as I say, kudos and respect for that. And so now you've been out. It's been a little over 2 years. You're now back on the social dating, and you're with this girl. You went to the zoo last week, correct?
I did go to the zoo.
The Christmas nightlight zoo
There was a
thing?
lights, like Christmas lights event at the Palm Beach Zoo.
Okay, so now, for those of you who don't know Bronson, and don't take this as a negative, you really have no athletic ability, correct?
I actually I was the 7th best in our boat. We were the 7th best in the country at crew.
At crew in high school.
We were in the top 10 of the country.
Okay, but yes,
That's pretty great.
We had a great time,
I'm not athletic. No, the answer is I'm not athletic.
Even right now, you're more artistic and intellectual than athletic, correct?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you are a little bit more.
Why'd you bring up me not being athletic?
Because I'm going to get to that. Give me a minute. And you're a little bit more on the, again, not a negative because it's a different world today, on the nerdy, geeky side.
Yes.
Because
I don't take it as a negative.
The intellectual aspect, as opposed to like Bryce, like, dude, bro, fraternity. I said paternity, fraternity type base. And you took her to the zoo, right?
Well, I like going to the zoo.
Correct.
Well, so I went to the zoo. I don't take being nerdy as an insult.
I don't mean as an insult, but it could have a negative connotation. Is what I'm trying to get at.
But I don't even. That's just who I am. Like I like to.
But you're not a nerd. But you're into. So if I said it, like in my generation, different today. If I said, "Oh, that kid's a nerd," it's a negative connotation from my age group. Mm-hmm. Even though it's a different world, where most kids are like being a well-read, nerdy type, non-athletic.
I like to think of it as intellectual, not nerdy.
Right.
How about that?
Okay. But so what's the name of that lizard?
Well, okay. So I went to the zoo, and Bryce and Jesse, his girlfriend, were also at the zoo. And so we got in the car after and we were heading home, and they were like, honestly, Bronson, we were worried that you decided to bring a date to the zoo. Like, that's not a good idea. And I was like, why? I love the zoo. And they're like, that's the problem. We were so worried that you were going to like geek out on all the animals and talk about all these animal facts and just like spew all this knowledge that you have about all these animals.
By the way, would be a turnoff for a girl your age.
Yeah, probably. But also
on a third date.
Also, I am who I am.
That's true.
I'm going to be who I'm like. If I'm getting to know a person, I want to be exactly the person that I am, because either they like it or they don't. And if they don't like it, it's even better because then I don't waste any more time.
Fuck them.
You know, like
I agree with you. You're right. That's a valid
So
point.
I'm always on any date. I am how I am, and I'm going to be the way that I've grown up to be. Right. And if a person doesn't like it, then they don't like it, or not doesn't like it. If it doesn't connect, it doesn't connect.
Okay, but that's true. But at the same token, on a date, first couple of dates, you just have a tendency, like in all relationships, you might pass gas. You know, when you're with someone for years, you go to bed with the door open, or you pass gas, whatever. On the first couple of days, you're not chewing with your mouth open.
Well, right.
You're
I'm
not
trying to be
your teeth.
But I don't. A lot of people like try to impress the other person when they're on a date. They try to be the best version of themselves, and it's like, I don't think that that's a good idea at all, because then the first month or two of the relationship is completely different than the rest of the relationship, because you can get into a relationship with someone, you're dating them, you think that they're this great person because every time you're with them, they're on their best behavior, they're trying to be the best that they can be to impress you and be just a good person that you want to see again. But then 3 months into it, you get comfortable with the person and you're like, oh, this isn't that person, because they're not on their best behavior all the time, because no one is. So I approach dates by just being like, of course, I'm always nice and polite and respectful and not gross.
But you know what I'm going with. I'm not saying don't be yourself. I'm just saying that we have a tendency of like just keeping things a little more interesting, and like I said, you might put cologne on, you might make sure your teeth are brushed, certain things that you can grow into. So what I'm getting at is, I always tease you and call you Ted, the guy Ted from How I Met Your Mother, because you always have all these facts about everything, and you're very smart. And as I said from the very first,
I can't help it. I probably am on the autism spectrum.
No, you're not. No, and it's not a negative. But from episode 1, when we described ourselves, you know, I said, like, you're well read and you're very knowledgeable in many things. So when you went on the date, I just found it very funny.
Well, so what happened was we were at the zoo. So yeah, Bryce and Jesse were like, that probably wasn't a good idea because you probably were going to say all these animal facts and like try to hold them in. And it's exactly what ended up happening. I mean,
but how you told yourself
so I'm
not
walking,
to say anything.
Yeah, like before I got to the zoo, I said to myself, I was like, okay, Bronson, don't say all these, like, keep the facts to yourself.
Like, did you know the African sloth only eats once every 3 weeks and mates with their soulmate? I mean, that's
I don't even do that to like try. No, wait. I don't do that to like try to show other people how much I know about them. I just do it because I'm interested in the topic.
I'm not saying that. Wait, right. I'm not saying you do it from
I'm
like,
just
like, fuck you. I know better than you. No, you're like, we could sit there and saying, we used to call Bryce Sam for slow as molasses and also a sloth. So whenever, like, I think it was like the Geico commercial had a sloth and we're like, oh look, there's Bryce, and you'd be like, well, technically that's not a mammal and there's that, and you weren't doing it to be a dick, you were just doing it because that's who you are.
Right. So, I just am interested and I like talking about things that I'm interested in.
Right. And so, then you hear crickets when you bring that up.
Yeah, but I don't care. Like I said, I am who I am. So I told myself, I was like, don't do that at the zoo. Just try, like, don't talk about the animals because that's not interesting to anyone but you. So like, if you're meeting this girl there, you barely know her, you're not gonna. I'm not gonna like go spewing the whole night about animal facts. You know, I'm there to try to get to know her, not show her that I know all this stuff about animals.
But you did.
I couldn't help. So throughout the whole night, I kept telling myself, don't do that, don't do that. And then we were there at the zoo at nighttime for the lights. So a lot of the animals were sleeping. So you didn't really see many animals. But we get to the ocelot cage the ocelot exhibit. And she was joking. She was like, oh, these animals, like maybe they're not even here and we just got screwed by the zoo. Like we paid to see the animals and they don't even exist. That's why they're doing it at night or whatever. And I was like, well, actually, the ocelot is a nocturnal hunter, so it should be out now, like out and about. It wouldn't be sleeping at night. And then I was like, oh, shit. Oh, you're doing it. And so then I tried to hold it back. Maybe 15, 20 minutes later, there was a
lizard
cage of an axolotl.
Okay, right, wait, let's stop that. No one knows what an axolotl is.
But that's why it's even cooler.
Wait, am I correct? No one knows what an axolotl is? Did I say it correctly?
You said it correctly.
And by the way, just for our listeners, no one should know what an axolotl is. Continue.
So there was an axolotl exhibit, and there were like 6 of them, and they're not that common of an animal, so it's cool when you see them. And I've always
is it a lizard?
Them. It's like an amphibious salamander kind of thing.
There you go. See his description. It's an amphibious salamander.
Because it's not a lizard.
Okay, it's just, but for the layman, the fucking normal person, I don't say you're abnormal, but for the regular person, it's a lizard. Continue.
So there was an exhibit of them, and she thought that they were cool looking. So she was like, "Oh wow,
that's so cool."
But she was like, "What are those? I've never seen anything like that." And I was like, "Oh well, actually, it's an axolotl." And she's like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh well, it's like a salamander, and they
very rare. You only find them,
and they live in like South America mostly." And she was like, "You know a lot about animals, don't you?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." She's like, "You know more than most people, don't you?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." Like I just had to accept it.
She's probably thinking, "This guy doesn't get laid." Oh my god!
Like I said, I like that stuff, and
there's nothing wrong. I just find it very funny.
It's funny.
So that was one of your dates, and then the reason why I brought up about the athletic aspect, you're going to be going a little bit later, taking the same girl out to do dinner, and let everybody know.
And we're going golfing, Top Golf.
Golfing. That'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's fun. I think it's great. I think you're outside your comfort zone. I think there's nothing wrong with it. It's just very funny. And you,
I remember when I was first dating my ex back 2 years ago. This was like 2018. Back then, on her her job was a dancer. Like she was a professional dancer. That's what she did. Not stripper.
Strip club.
Not that.
That's what they
like
all
literally
say.
like
That's
a classical dancer.
Yeah, very nice girl again.
And our second date, we went to a dance hall. Like we went to it's a speakeasy but Cuban themed, and it's like a dance. Like you go there to dance to Hispanic music, and
you have no rhythm.
All of my friends were like, "This is the worst idea you could have ever done. Taking a professional dancer to a dance club
with you, no less.
Yeah,
no rhythm." So I don't know if you saw this, but there was a time. Remember Elaine Julia Dreyfus? is that her name? Elaine from
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Julia Louis, whatever Dreyfus. So on the episode of Seinfeld, there was an episode where she thought she was a great dancer. Have you ever seen that episode?
No.
Okay, you got to look it up. So there's an episode where she is dancing, and it is the most horrific dancer, and she thought she was amazing. That reminds me when I thought.
Here's the thing with dancing, though. I really do enjoy dancing. It's fun when I'm out there. If it's good music.
Yep.
It's fun to do. I know I'm not a good dancer, but I don't care. And no one on a dance floor
cares.
If you're on a dance floor and you're enjoying yourself, it doesn't matter how you look. People don't care as long as you're enjoying yourself. Like whenever you go, or like if I'm at a bar or something and someone's dancing and they look like a fool, like they're dancing so badly, but you can tell they're having so much fun. I'm like, that guy's awesome.
Okay, so Bronson.
No one judges someone on a dance floor for bad dancing.
I know you know the answer to this. You know that when Patrick Duffy was
I don't know who Patrick Duffy is.
What's the name of it? Who's McDreamy?
Patrick Dempsey.
Patrick Dempsey was on the movie when he was younger, Can't Buy Me Love. Mm-hmm. And he was a nerd. And he was going to the prom with the hot chick. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to learn how to dance. What was the name of that dance?
I don't know.
The African something?
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
Oh, yeah. You going to look it up? I don't know. It might take too long. But it just reminds me of that. Maybe if people saw the movie.
African dance. African anteater ritual.
There you go. That's it. That's amazing. You look that shit up so quickly. What are you on the World Wide Web?
Yeah.
All right. So tonight you're going golfing. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. It's a interesting world to be dating in with COVID.
But you've had no
COVID
problem.
doesn't even exist here.
The social media, not social media, the dating
apps.
What's the one you've been using?
Hinge is the good one for all you folks out there who are looking for one.
No,
Tinder is full of fake people, literally as in like bots.
What's a bot?
Like just a computer behind the account. It's not a human.
Bullshit. Okay.
It's either that or it's people catfishing, or it's just like ratchet people that you don't want to meet up with.
So it's like, okay,
like people who are just looking for sex.
What's the one Uncle Branco's on?
Tinder.
Okay.
He's on Tinder.
So it's a hookup site.
Yeah, and it's just like weird people on there. It's not an enjoyable experience.
Are these the same, like what he always shows me? Is this the one where the girls are always posting in front of the Eiffel Tower? That one?
Eiffel Tower?
Yeah, I don't know. He says that they all fucking post in front of the fake picture of the Eiffel Tower like they were world travelers. They fucking.
Well, everyone's the same. That's a thing that you learn on the dating apps too. I'm sure it's the same on the guy's side. I'm not seeing guys on my apps, so I'm sure that my profile on these is probably similar to a lot of other people. But everyone's the same. Oh my God, they all have the same captions. They all try to make the same corny jokes. They all have the same kind of pictures. They all pose the same. How do you
pick and choose which one you want to? Is this a swipe thing?
So I use Hinge. I don't use the other ones. I use Hinge, which is more. I found it more enjoyable, just because the quality of person,
more relationship.
The quality of person that's on there. It's more about people who are like looking to actually date.
Okay, and
how do I choose? I don't know. Obviously attraction is the first thing, like physical attraction. But then Hinge, what's nice is that they give you prompts. So you have to like fill out, it's more like a profile instead of just a picture. So you can like make funny jokes, or you can
it's like
tell funny stories.
It's been good for you, right?
Yeah. Should I read what I put on my Hinge profile?
If you want to.
Let's see. So I've got some pictures of me, and then my first prompt I chose was my simple pleasures. And then I wrote waking up to no alarm, direct deposit, and Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I think that, it shows I'm a little funny, shows I like ice cream.
Why direct deposit?
Because that's funny. Just getting the money I want right when that's a funny thing.
Okay.
Because direct deposit is so much easier than like having to take my check and cash it and put it into my account.
Understood.
I just thought it was funny.
Simplicity.
Then,
what else does it ask you?
Then I said a life goal of mine is to embarrass my future children with my dad jokes. Thought that
really interesting.
Well, because I put that to show kind of like
that's what we.
I'm
do
a little
now.
Down to earth. I want children someday.
Gotcha.
Show a little.
Do we embarrass you with our dad jokes?
No.
Okay.
I'm so used to growing up with you, and I couldn't get embarrassed.
We took that numbness out at an early stage.
Yeah.
Early age, I should say.
And then my last one, I chose my most controversial opinion is, and I said, Spy Kids 2, The Island of Lost Dreams is the greatest movie of our generation. And I thought that was another funny one.
Okay. I don't understand your generation. But you've been having a good time with it.
Yeah, it's just a weird time to be doing that because like I'm in Florida for who knows how long, but I don't live here. I live in LA. So it's like, can anything serious develop? Probably not. Should I even be doing what I'm doing? Probably not. But I don't know.
It could develop. You have a serious relationship. Who knows?
But then what happens? I go back to LA.
You'll see what the deal is. You don't know.
That's what I'm doing. I'm playing it by ear, day by day.
One day at a time, see where it goes. And if it's the right one, you'll know. Right?
Yeah. Have you... So I said that that I've never been broken up with. Have you been broken up with? Or have you been like me?
I have most of the time, not that I'm hundreds, but most of the times I've broken up with the person, but I haven't been broken up with, yes.
Have you been broken up with, like, where you're heartbroken, or you were like, okay, this is good?
I've had both. I've had been broken up with when I was like 18 or something like that, where you think it's heartbroken because it's like, you're 18 and you think you're in love or whatever. And then I've had where, you sometimes you act like a dick, so the girl breaks up with you when you're younger. It's like stupid.
Yes, that's a thing for
Remember,
sure.
I met mom at, your mother at 23 and knew she was the one. So
you didn't have much time before that.
I dated probably from like 17 to 23. There wasn't like a huge amount of dating. I did, a couple of dates, it was fine. It was, but yeah, I did not sound, it's not from an ego standpoint, but I did most of the breakup because I had like relationships and, if I dated, I was a lot like you. So if I dated someone for like, let's say 10 months or a year and a half, and they got so serious and I enjoyed it, I didn't want to and they would start talking about future and this and that. And
right, that's what happens in every one of my...
That's okay, but that's normal. It's a normal thing for the woman or for the man to talk about a future with them.
And I think men and women, I mean, obviously, and in general, this is a generalization, but I think in general, men and women approach relationships differently at like every stage of the relationship.
Yeah, men are much more normal and women are a little fucked up.
No, but like I feel like women, even within like the first few times they're meeting, like you're dating, like the early stages, women are already thinking about future, if it's possible, it's compatible, which is probably the smarter thing to do, because then you don't waste your time. Guys don't think about that stuff until it's like 2 years in.
I know some guys do, but today's day and age with the girls, I don't know, a lot of these girls just want to become like sugar daddies and things like that, and
no, they'd be sugar babies.
I mean, they're looking for like, let's say, a sugar daddy. But I don't know. I think, I don't know what the right answer is, but I do think women come to it very differently. And, it's funny. We were talking 2 nights ago. Well, we've had people over all the time, but we had another 2 couples over, and we're talking about how the difference between men and women and how fucking different they are, and how men are simple, and the reality is men require like 3 things. Give them the sex when they want it, which benefits from the woman too, because it brings you closer. Give them the home cooked meal, a couple times a week in their house, which is their castle and domain. And 3 is don't emasculate them and appreciate it. And I think women are the smarter 2 sexes, but they're so stupid they don't understand how to control, or they really could run the relationship in a smart way rather than trying to bamboozle it. And I think there'd probably be less divorces, less middle-aged divorced women if they knew how to play their man and invest their man. And I know this sounds sexist, but usually the man is the breadwinner and providing for the household, the family, and they invest in their future by their 401k and their retirement. Well, you know what? The women have to invest in their future too, which is their man, and take good care of their man and make sure they have a future. Otherwise, they become these...
But then that's like dependency and...
It's not dependency. It's everyone knowing their roles. There's no such thing as true... Let me finish.
But why does that have to be the role?
What do you mean, why does it have to be the role? Because the problem...
What if the woman is the one doing the 401k?
By the way, I'm making a general statement, but the majority of it is, Bronson, that the majority is that the men usually are the ones that usually are the breadwinner. And today's day and age, the women want the women to be women, and they want the men to be women. And there's no...
Well, that's true. I agree with that.
Listen, but just because you agree doesn't mean it's true, but you agree with it, right?
I agree with it.
All right, so
Okay,
the
fair
problem
enough.
becomes, so the women want the men to become fucking pussies, and there's no true equality with it. And you know what? And I believe in those old-fashioned values where there's every man and every woman has their role in a relationship. And know your fucking role, understand it, do it. And 1 minute, and what happens is they go ahead, stop picking your nails. And what happens is they go ahead and they will, I think these women, rather than complaining about the shit or doing this, whatever, by the way, half of them got fucking live-in housekeepers, they have to do their shit, whatever, and they still complain. And you know what? If they played their man better and appreciated their man better and knew their role, just like the man has their fucking role, I think there'd be less divorces. That's my opinion. And if you ask these men too, I'm telling you right now, because all my friends are divorced and they all say, I didn't want to be divorced, but it is what it is, and I'm fine now because the divorce favors men on the back end as opposed to women. And you ask these women about the divorce thing, and they'll tell you divorce sucks. And I bet you if they didn't let themselves get heavy, or they bust, or they put the attention to keep themselves trim and looking better, whatever, while they were married, or if they, half of my friends say, oh, my wife didn't want to even have sex, whatever, they complain about it. And I'm like, you're fucking complaining that your husband still wants to do you after 30 years, you're complaining? Now they go out and with these other guys who are like 70-year-olds, and they got to do those other guys now. They should have put their attention more into their husbands. They probably wouldn't be divorced. I know I'm going to
There's
get
a lot in there.
I'm going to get a lot of fucking slack from
There's
that.
a lot in there, and I don't.
Listen,
oh my god!
Before you women get, listen,
Oh my God.
Bronson's shaking his head. Before you women start going off on me for my view, think about it first in a non-emotional, non-personal view as to what I'm saying. And I'm telling you, it's not a judgment call that couples get divorced because of women. That's not what I'm saying, because it works both ways. But men are simpletons. We don't really care about most things. We want to make our women happy. We don't care. We care about 3% of the 100%. Just give us our 3%, and I'm telling you, you got the world by the balls. And if you know how to play your man, whether you're dating them, engaged to them, and married to them, I'm telling you, we are simpletons. We don't require much. Think about it. What do you require much, Bronson? You've had relationships. Do you require much in a relationship?
Not at all.
Okay.
I require very
correct.
little.
So for the 3% you want, don't you want that?
Yes.
Okay. Now ask any one of my friends, ask the men and the women, and they will tell you their daughters are much more difficult than their sons. Would you agree with that?
No, because difficult in what way?
Emotionally and higher.
So here's what I agree with. So you said a lot of different things.
Oh, I haven't scratched the surface.
Some I agree with, some I don't. So let's see. I can't remember all the points, but here's what I agree with. I think men and women are different, and I think that those differences should be celebrated. Nowadays, it's...
Oh, my God. Bronson.
No, I'm agreeing with you. Nowadays, people try to say masculinity is toxic. They try to make men more feminized. They try to make women more masculine. Like Wait,
can I interrupt for one thing? I'm sorry, Bronson. I hear you, brother. It's like this. What's a trick for me? I see these fucking TV commercials, and the men are fucking doing laundry. The men are the ones driving the minivans. The men are the ones holding the fucking baby and the baby Bjorn, whatever that shit is. Or you walk the streets and see the fucking guys pushing the stroller, the carrot and chain diaper. What were you Flakewitz the other day?
I'm in the middle of trying to make a bunch of points. I forget all your points now because it's been 10 minutes.
Remember Flakewitz last Sunday? The fucking guy, the wife.
Maybe that was his role. Maybe they agreed. You're all about roles in a relationship. Maybe they agreed 15 years ago when they met that was what fit them better. Maybe he's so happy doing that because that's their role. And she is the one who does the 401k. She's the one who's working all day. What's wrong with that?
Okay, let me play the scenario what happened. So we're Flakewitz. We're sitting there eating breakfast.
Wait, but what's wrong with that?
Okay,
if that's their roles,
I'm just listen. I'm just telling you what we saw was she gets out of the car, she walks right into the restaurant. The guy is taking the carriage out of the back of the SUV, taking the baby out of the car seat, putting it in. Then she makes him go back and get the bag. Okay, I'm telling you right now, as a fucking guy. The reality is, I don't care who you are, you tolerate. A man is still a man. Let the man feel like he's a fucking man. And rather than that
so
guy...
So
I'm telling you,
if he did it,
the guy's not happy.
Wait, so if he got out of the car, walked right into the restaurant, made her go back, do all this stuff, that's him being a man?
No, but why couldn't she help him? It's shocking. She could.
You don't know what their relationship is,
and I wouldn't want that relationship. Not a million.
But you were just spewing on and on about
not spewing.
Well, I tried to talk, and you.
I was not finished.
You finished a whole diatribe. I tried to address the points, and you said, wait, let me interrupt you. And then you made 5 more points. So I don't know which points I have to address now.
Who says you have to address any of them?
Well, I want to.
Go ahead, knock yourself out.
We're having a conversation.
Knock yourself out.
You were just so black and white about you have to have your roles. Roles are important. That's what a relationship is, blah, 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 blah. What if those are their roles? So do different roles in a relationship, does it always have to be the guy does XYZ and the woman does ABC? What if the guy does X, A, and C and the woman does Y, B, and Z? Okay,
generally men are generally from millions of years ago, the hunters and gatherers and have a certain thing called testosterone. Okay, men need to feel like men. For example, when you take a puppy, okay, even though domesticated these animals, they still want to play tug of war. You still need to sometimes let them win the tug of war. They still need to learn how to pounce and things like that because there's an innate ability in let's say animals. Same thing with regards to.
I can give you many examples of males in a species doing the child rearing, and there are points that you're saying that I agree with, but just because something is the way it's always been doesn't mean that it's the correct way.
Okay, but I'm a little older than you.
Male penguins are the ones that sit on the egg for hours and hours while the females go hunt. Male bonobos are the ones that are the child rearers and they have gay sex all the time and all that stuff. So saying something is natural doesn't mean that it relates to everything.
Okay, I understand. I'm making general statements, obviously not where it's 100% across the board. And the equivalent of a male penguin sitting on the egg would be the equivalent of you being married to a Jewish woman. Only joking, of course, obviously. That's just a little joke.
I don't even get the joke.
Okay, so here's the thing. Your men still, it builds, I think that stuff, and I'm making a general statement, obviously, that when the man takes on the role of the woman doing these things because of a very strong personality, woman, whatever it might be, I think that will eventually build resentment. Men are still men. Men are still simpletons.
What does that mean? Men are still men. What does it mean to be a man?
They still have certain needs where they still want to feel like a man.
What does that mean?
Sex, not being emasculated, feeling like they're certain times are in control, not being told what to do, whatever it is, things like that. I think that becomes where, and the women today don't know. I don't think, my own opinions, don't know how to play their man. And by the way, I don't care if I'm being played.
What do you mean play your man?
I mean, just be smarter. There's no doubt in my mind women are the smarter of two sexes in a relationship. So if you just know how to work, let's say work your man, you'll have the world by the balls. Just work your man the right way. Just like this, women might be a little more difficult.
But also, wouldn't you say if every woman is, like if a relationship is just a woman working a man, you'd be like, you're not okay with that. You were like, the woman's taking advantage of the guy.
No,
she's using him for his money. She's using him. So what was wrong with sugar babies and sugar daddies then? They're just working their men even better.
Okay. I'm not talking about working I'm not saying working them to get, I'm saying in a relationship, knowing your roles. Okay. I obviously believe in old fashioned values. Obviously, I think if the men and women have their roles, like I think like when the women make the man go ahead and do the laundry and going ahead and kind of pushing the baby stroller, and you see these fucking guys, literally you walking around Atlantic, see the fucking guy pushing even a dog in a stroller.
Well, that's
okay.
That's
but
a whole
my point
different
is,
thing.
but listen, the man's not out of the blue saying, let me push the baby, let me carry the baby diaper, let me push your fucking dog or hold your little chihuahua. I'm telling you, that's the woman saying, and the man being a fucking pussy sits there and says, okay, quick, so if I don't, I'm not going to get laid tonight. I just think,
so then that guy's an idiot.
Of course, but that's the point.
He's living in a relationship that he's not satisfied in, so he's an idiot.
What happens, and so is the woman an idiot, because what happens after 10 or 20 years,
that just sounds like a bad relationship to me, not a man-woman thing.
No, it's a man. You'll see.
Because
older,
we know gay couples that are both men and do stupid things like that too, in terms of parenting and with each other, and in terms of like not knowing roles and not working well with the other partner. So it's not just a man-woman thing. It's a human-to-human thing.
Okay, Bronson, I think the reality is I think if the women were a little bit smarter in a relationship, I think there'd be a lot less divorces. And these women who are all single and divorced in their 50s, I don't care how hot you are, the age benefits men, unfortunately, than today's day and age with regards to women. I'm telling you right, nobody wants to, I don't think, and again, let me just put this little caveat. I'm making a generalization. I'm not talking about the people that are in a bad relationship with, let's say, alcoholism, cheating, abusive relationships, things like that, physical violence. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in general where people think their relationship is so bad. The women are complaining because they have it so easy, but they're so bored. I think that sometimes it's if they just were to pull back the reins a little bit, put their attention to the man and made the man feel like a man, I can almost guarantee there'd be less divorces. That's my opinion.
Okay, I mean, you could say the exact same thing, but the opposite.
No, you can't.
You could say if only the men...
No, you can't.
Of course you could, because you're making a crazy generalization.
Why is it crazy?
Because what is that based on? Your friend circle?
From what I see and what I hear.
Do you know what relationships between men and women in Japan are like? And if that's happening, you know it based on your wealthy Jewish upscale community. So that's what... So you could say in the Jewish community this is happening, but to extrapolate that to farmers in Nebraska, it's like that might not be the case.
Yeah, you know, the farmers in Nebraska are not getting divorced because they know their fucking roles.
I think people when you make a generalization about something,
that's what it is, a generalization.
Right, but when you make such a big generalization of it doesn't hold, like it doesn't float, because you could just say the other thing. Because if you're making one crazy generalization, then what's to say why you couldn't make the other? Because if it's not based on any fact or data, then you could just say anything. I could say the sky is green. Why? Because I think it is. But then, you know what I mean? Just because you say something, of course, then you could say the other side.
Okay, then it's my opinion. How about that? And I bet if you poll the let's say in South Florida area alone, you poll the people, no one wants to be divorced by any means. I think it's unfortunate people get divorced, and who knows what the circumstances are. But I don't know, it's just interesting. Talk to the guys, you get a very different view than talking to the girls of where they're at. And I think it's...
Well, men and women are definitely very different. And this is what I was saying earlier when you interrupted me. I was saying, I think men and women are different, and those differences should be celebrated, which you laughed at. I'm not saying that in like a hippie, liberal, whatever. I'm saying the differences should be highlighted instead of trying to be squashed. Nowadays, culture is trying to make men feminine and women masculine. You watch on TV, and if it's like a female lead character in a movie, she's like the badass, tough guy, doesn't take no shit. It's like those are masculine qualities. So, and then men now are being like feminine portrayed. Qualities are being put on to men. I mean, if that works on an individual level, fine. I think as a society, men inherently have masculine traits. We're born with different DNA, different not chromosomes, different XY versus XX, different hormones, different brain wiring. Literally, this is biology. So there are obviously masculine traits. I think those should be celebrated and highlighted. And of course, there are negative masculine traits, and of course, there are positive, just as of course there are negative feminine traits, and of course, they're positive. But the crossing of them is probably not a good thing for society. So I'm agreeing with you that there are different ways that men and women operate in life. But then to make it black and white, like if a man is carrying a baby, he is not a man. If a man is pushing a stroller, he is not a man. What if you said you're walking on Atlantic, you see that? What if the woman's arms are so sore from her working out in the morning, and she was like, honey, could you please push this carriage for the next hour? Or could you please change the baby? I'm on a work call right now.
Are you serious, Bronson? Listen, let me ask you your opinion. Now, let me ask you your opinion. Rather than you take it into an
You just have black and white rules and nothing follows in between. It is true.
I'm just having a little bit of a passionate conversation. Now we're going to open up the footnotes and look at the back of the fucking index on the encyclopedia. Say, it's like saying mint chip is the best ice cream. Well, how do you know mint chip is the best ice cream? Because you might have someone in China that they might like strawberry sherbet. I'm obviously just having a fun conversation.
And I am too.
Let me finish. General statements. So rather than you telling me what she might have worked out, her arms are tired. Of course I hold my children when they're babies. I'm talking about in general from what I perceive and what I see. What is your view on it? Not the analytical.
What is my view on what? You haven't asked. What is my view on what?
I'm saying about how men and women with different roles and how I see it and how you see these guys pushing the stroller or pushing the dog or whatever. I'm asking you not about the analytical aspect.
What is my
what
view?
You foresee dating with the people and do you want to be one of those guys that sit there and say, okay, I will come home, I will take care of the baby and I will go food shopping, I will go ahead and do this and do this stuff. And do you want that? That's great. Knock yourself out. That works for you.
Do I want to do everything in a relationship? No. It depends on the relationship. What I believe that a healthy relationship has different roles and people do different things. Otherwise, one person's doing everything and the other person's doing nothing. I agree with you on that. But I also agree that those roles are not black and white. Those roles can be whatever the two people in the relationship want those roles to be.
Bronson.
If I find myself in a relationship and me personally, I probably want to be the one who's supporting the family. I probably want to come home to a house where like my wife takes care of the house and helps raise the children, like has more maternal characteristics than me being the one up. I don't know. Both need to obviously raise the children. What I'm saying is that's a personal thing for me. I'm not then putting that on the whole world and saying this is how it has to be for men and this is how it has to be for women. If someone's in a relationship, I know people, I have friends who the guy is not super masculine in the relationship, but that's what he chooses. That's what he wants in the relationship, I guess, because he keeps doing it.
Does he really? I know he talking about. So let me ask this. Let me say this, Bronson.
But who am I to say you're not being a man?
Bronson, let me just say this. When I make my spewing or my rants or my generalizations, I'm not saying mine's the right way. I'm not saying it across the board to everybody. It's just a discussion of my opinion. Okay, that's all it is. Of course, I know there's complete opposite views. Of course, I know people are going to say, fuck that, or I don't agree with it. And by the way, I got involved with my kids, raising my kids. I did change the diapers and that. I'm not saying 110% across the board that this is the way. What I am saying is...
It does sound... I believe that you're not, but it does sound like you're... When you approach certain things like that, you do say it as, this is the right way. That's the energy you give off by saying, a man's not a fucking man if he carries a stroller or whatever.
That's not what I said.
It is.
No, what I said was...
You said men aren't being men anymore. Women are taking it away from them.
I felt like I struck a nerve with you on this thing. What I'm saying is, listen to me. What I'm saying is the following. People don't know their roles. The women want the women to be women and they want the men to become pussies today. And that's the fucking problem. And there's a human...
now you're saying this is fact. This is your belief.
My opinion. All I can speak of. I didn't want to do a thesis on it and poll 3,000 people. I'm just telling you this is my own opinion from what I see at the age of 54 years of age. So I have a lot more life experience than you do. That's a fact, correct? Okay, so with that being a fact... So all I'm saying is that resentment, which is a bad thing in a relationship, we start off, you're 24, 25, it's great, you tolerate a lot, you bite your lip, you might want to get fucking laid, it's not with the argument, the kids today in your generation are a little more forgiving, whatever, but the basic core of a man, again, just my generalization in my opinion, a man is a man, and a man needs to feel like a man. Okay, just like men are more visual, women are more emotional, so forth. So what I'm saying is you might end up tolerating a lot today from a woman because you're young and you might not have as much life experience. But what happens is there's certain things that you need as a man, and over 20 years before you know it, what happens is it starts building resentment. And if these women don't invest in their man, or they're men and work it the right way to keep the relationship going and know their roles, what happens, I think divorce is inevitable. I could be wrong. I might offend certain people. Go ahead.
There are definitely divorces that have been caused by the men screwing up.
Of course. Look, men are dicks too. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that
I agree that men are definitely simpler and
yep.
women are more complex.
Correct.
And none of those are negative or positive. They're just neutral statements. I'm not saying women are more
negative.
I'm not saying women are more complicated. I'm saying they're more complex. Their emotions are more complex than guys. We're simple.
You don't think women are more complicated? Come on.
But complicated implies a negative connotation. I'm not saying it's trying to be
we had to
negative.
think about privilege. And privilege had a negative connotation too, and we try to correct it. I'm not saying from a negative. Women are more complicated than men.
All right. Enough of that. I'm done. It's we know how each other feel. We're not getting anywhere more.
True, but I'm right.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, great.
What else?
So what I was thinking last week, you did your slang terms with your generation. Okay, now I'm going to do some slang terms from my generation. Okay, and see if you know what they are.
Okay. Did you have to look these up?
Well, I know what some of them were, but I looked them up only to make sure that I could
remember them.
To add some more. I know what they are. Like if you said to me, "What does this mean?" I know what they are. However, I looked them up strictly for the purposes to come up with more than two.
Okay.
All right. Just like you look up your things for your topics.
I would imagine I'll know a lot of them just because they're probably in pop culture and stuff, like in 80s movies and whatnot, but we'll see.
Okay. What about not even?
How do you say it?
It's not even. But you say it with like not even.
Like I would think that would be like I can't believe that.
For example, she's totally into you, dude. Not even.
Well, what does that mean? So was I right? Like it means like
no way.
Right. So I was kind of right. I said I can't believe that.
Okay. Yep. All right. I'll give that one to you.
I'll try to use them in sentences.
Okay. So another one is gnarly. You know that.
Gnarly. It's like crazy.
Yeah. It's like,
oh man, I hit a gnarly wave surfing yesterday.
With surfers, correct. And it's off of that too is like tubular.
Yeah, but I've never heard anyone actually say that.
What about word?
Word like cool.
Nope.
Like someone, or like an agreement, right? Like if someone's like, oh, that show rocked, you want to watch the next episode? A word.
Or like you would say, we're going to meet at my house. You're like, bet.
Right. So bet and word are synonyms.
Like, and then you go, if you want to be really like, yo, word up, man. And then you want to be crazy.
When did you ever say word up, man?
You say
seriously?
Word up. Or you're like, word up, schoolie cuz. That was a big thing.
Schoolie cuz.
Schoolie cuz, yep.
What's that?
Yep. Schoolie cuz was like a thing that I don't know if we made it up or not, but it was like a thing we'd say like homeboy. What about choice?
It doesn't mean the same thing as the actual word choice.
No. Yeah.
Like that girl's so hot, I had no choice.
No. But it actually does mean choice because, like, for example, if you're saying I like your car, or I like your look, or your hair, that's choice. Saying that you're all right with the decision. It's just I don't know. I don't
like
love
a good
one.
decision.
Yeah,
you made a
what
good
about
decision.
fat? PHAT.
Like cool.
Okay, it has nothing to do with overweight, right? Fat is like a compliment, dude. You're looking fat tonight.
Like cool.
Yeah, you're on the money. Gag me with a spoon.
The fuck is that?
You never heard that?
Gag me with a spoon, like I'm so disgusted, right?
Correct, right. Is an expression you can use when you want to show disgust or disappointment. Like,
but that's such a weird.
And that was like the Valley. Remember the Valley Girl movie? It's like, oh my god, gag me with a spoon. So that was that.
How did they say it?
You heard? Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. What about barf me out?
I would guess the same thing. Like that's disgusting.
Correct, but worse. It's like a worse thing than gag with a spoon. Then the next level will be like barf me out.
Well, because when you gag yourself with the spoon, then it leads to you barfing. So yeah, that makes sense.
Right. I mean, and then what about bad?
Bad, but it means good, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I knew that.
And have a cow. It's like
I don't know have a cow.
You don't know if I say don't have a cow, dude.
Like calm down.
Yeah, I don't have a conniption. Like what the fuck? You getting out of really? You gonna go crazy over that? That's weak. A weak. 1 minute. Let me see what else we got. about butter?
Butter like smooth?
Yeah. Like Barbara Streisand's legs are smooth like butter. Remember the Saturday Night Live
I don't remember
skit?
that at all.
Yeah, you're too young for that.
And I would never think of Barbara Streisand's leg as smooth.
What about bag your face?
Die? I don't know.
No, it means like you
Bag your face.
Yeah.
That means you're dying.
No. Bag your face means like you're hideous to look at.
Like cover up your face. I like that actually.
Double bagger.
Oh, I like that. No.
Or yeah, that's what it is. Bag your face or something.
That's a good one. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, you're like, dude, was she hot? Definitely a double bagger.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's like we have like a butterface, butterface.
Yeah.
Like everything is nice on her, like butter her face.
Butterface.
Yeah.
What about let's bounce?
Like, let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's get out of here. It's like
people still say that.
Yeah. So that's it. Nothing is. I think our '80s stuff was a little more understandable. And
no, I think it's just understandable because
I did it.
No, because I grew up watching '80s movies. '80s culture is huge now. Like every show nowadays is '80s related.
Okay.
Like my generation. The current generation always has nostalgia for their parents' era. Like my generation, we have 80s nostalgia.
I love the 50s.
Even though we never lived, right. And you guys have the 50s nostalgia. Like a lot of movies now take place in the 80s. TV shows, Stranger Things, 80s clothes are back in style. And then you guys were 50s.
The Goldbergs, right? That's a funny show with the 80s.
Yeah. So kids always have the nostalgia of their parents' generation, even though they didn't live in it. So, like, I know a lot of 80s.
That's because you watch a lot of movies, and stuff. I don't know if most people would know it. I'd be curious the next time.
Some of them I've never heard of.
Maybe when we do have the other siblings in here again.
Although, will we ever have them in here again?
I was listening to last week's again when I was running this morning, and Bryce was pretty funny. He did add some stuff to it, but I felt there was a little bit of gang up thing, and that was what I was trying to avoid. I don't think that was the purpose of it, of what you and I started out to with this podcast. That's why I didn't love it as much. I think if we bring on guest speakers, like another father and son, I think that would be pretty cool, because then it's someone else. Rather than me just bouncing on you, I can bounce. It's fair game. That kid wants to come into the fucking wolf's den, I can then pounce on him, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun.
And I'd be curious to see if the father defended the kid, or what if the father took my side.
You pounce on the kid?
Not physically. I mean, like, if he has a liberal approach, I'm like, what are you, fucking moron? That kind of thing.
But we'd really only choose people who we knew and who could like hold their own.
Yeah, but it might be nice to get somebody who can hold their own.
Yeah, we don't want to hurt people.
I don't want to hurt them. I'm just curious to say, but you're right. No, we don't want to hurt anybody. So one last thing, Brian, before we go. So definitely tell again the Instagram. We're gonna what's the Instagram page again? So people, because you're gonna put on early this week a poll, correct? What do we talk about? Would you rather?
I'm going to put the would you rathers on so we can see what our audience would choose.
Because I'm curious to know, because you and I have always had that debate between the cake and the what.
Yeah, the cake and the cock.
Correct.
We should say cock instead of dick. It's just funnier and it fits. CC. Stop touching that.
Sorry.
CC, like cake cock. And cock's a funnier word.
Okay, then cake cock it is.
Would you rather sit on a cock and eat a cake, or sit on a cake and eat a cock?
Right. And
that flows way better.
And would you rather be fucked by your father in the ass, or fuck your mother?
Yeah. Hey, fuck your mother.
Yo, fuck your mother. Yeah. All right. So I think this wraps it up for episode 6, right? Week 6. And we hope our Kenya listener comes back.
Yeah, please.
I mean, we tell everybody that. So we do hope you come back. And Brown, what's the Instagram page again?
It is daddy_issues podcast.
Singular.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, I'm just
looking to see if the Kenya guy.
No, I'm gonna say this is gonna be horrible.
What?
But I'm gonna. They speak Swahili in Kenya, so I just translated. Please listen to us.
But he must understand English because he listened to 4 episodes.
Yeah, but maybe I'll. So please listen to us in Swahili is tafadhali utusikilize. So, Kenyan listener, tafadhali utusikilize.
Wow. It's like birth control. How do you ever get laid?
I figured I'd approach him in his own dialect.
No, fuck it. No. See, I believe that If he doesn't understand English, then he should not listen.
I mean, he must have understood because he's listened to like 5 hours. All right.
All right, Bronny, I love you.
Love you too.